The day that fine showed up on my door, it was 104 degrees out, not a cloud anywhere. Just that thick, shimmering haze you get when summer wants to remind you it's got the power. I'd loaded 2 old coolers with bottled water, rolled them out under the only shade tree near the community trail, didn't put up any sign, didn't make some grand announcement. Just water. Cold and free, for anyone who needed it. I didn't do it to be a hero, you know? I did it because 2 days before, Mrs. Elkins, my neighbor across the street, 84 years old, almost passed out walking her little terrier, and because my dad, back in El Paso, always said, "Son, water saves more lives than bullets." That stuck with me, through deployments, through homecomings, through every year since. So when I found a white envelope taped to my door that afternoon, I thought it was more junk mail. Maybe a lawn service flyer. Nope. Violation. Unauthorized distribution of consumables in common area. Fine, $75. Due, 14 days. HOA Officer Linda Crowley. I stood there in my sun-baked doorway, just blinking at it, feeling like the insult was heavier than the paper. For a second, I thought maybe it would disappear if I squeezed it hard enough, like some bad magic. But it didn't. All I could hear was the hum of a leaf blower somewhere, a sprinkler squeaking down the street, the world spinning like it had no idea what just happened. Was I angry? Not yet. Mostly I was just confused. Was it the cooler? The ice? Did someone actually complain? That evening, I brought a jug of water over to Mrs. Elkins and asked her, careful not to make it sound like a big deal. She smiled, said that cold water had been a blessing, hadn't heard a peep except that Linda Crowley walked by without waving. That was all I needed to know. Back home, I sat at my kitchen table with the letter spread out beside me, my old dog Cooper snoring underfoot. I retired from the Army 6 years ago, and sure, civilian life can surprise you, but I never thought offering water would land me in hot water. I called the HOA. Straight to voicemail. Hi, this is Jeremy Cole from 432 Sycamore Lane. I got a notice about water distribution, would love some clarification. Please call me back. Hung up. Then I did what any sensible person would do. Grabbed the HOA handbook. Took me 20 minutes to find the right section. Residents must not offer or sell food or drink within common areas without prior written permission from the board. That was it. Vague as all get out. So water was now a violation, even if you weren't selling it? That was new to me. I didn't sleep much that night, not because of the fine, but because I started to realize it wasn't about safety or health, it was about control. The next morning, I showed up at the HOA meeting, first one I'd attended in almost a year. Linda Crowley presided, looking every bit the judge in her red windbreaker, HOA logo stitched above her heart. As the meeting ended, I raised my hand. She stared a second, then nodded. I stood up. I received a fine for handing out water. I've read the handbook. Didn't sell, didn't disrupt. Can I ask under what authority this citation was issued? She replied, cold as ice. Section 12C prohibits distribution of consumables without permission. I pushed back. What about cookies at bake sales or kids with lemonade stands? This isn't about cookies, she snapped. It's about maintaining order. When I pointed out the absurdity, she threatened me with another citation, disruptive conduct. I sat down, jaw tight. That's how it was going to be. On the way out, Stephanie, barely knew her, leaned in and whispered, "You're not the only one. They fined me for handing out Gatorade last Easter. Called it unsanctioned hospitality." That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about water. 2 days later, I caught Linda and Roger, the compliance guy, standing across from my house, staring at my coolers and the cedar bench I'd built. 10 minutes. Just standing there like I'd hidden a fugitive. I stepped outside, coffee in hand. "You got enough ink in that thing?" I joked to Roger. They didn't smile. That afternoon, a second letter, visual disruption of neighborhood aesthetic. Translation, my bench and coolers were ugly. Funny, because I'd sanded and stained that bench myself. That evening, as the neighborhood kids biked by and Mrs. Elkins's caretaker rolled out the trash bins, I realized something. Everything looked normal, but under the surface, the tension was like a fault line. I walked past Linda's place that night. A perfect colonial, overmulched yard, metal HOA sign by the flowers, her car parked on the street, a violation in itself. I snapped a photo, not out of spite, but out of principle. The next morning, I taped it to her door with a note. Sometimes good people bend the rules for practical reasons, just like you did. By noon, it was gone. Later, Roger came by, nervous, eyes darting. Leaving materials on doors is discouraged. Is it illegal? I asked. Well, no. Then I'll keep that in mind. He warned me. 2 citations. Any more, and I'd face a formal hearing. Roger, you ever hand out water to someone on a hot day? He hesitated, then left without another word. Stephanie came by that night, brought lemonade. Her toddler Maddie playing in the grass. Linda's on a warpath, she said. Find my neighbor for a wind chime. That's when I learned Linda had moved here 4 years ago. Ran for the board almost immediately, always needed control. She broke people, Stephanie whispered. Not rules. That stuck with me. The next morning, my bench was gone. No note. Just 2 scratches in the pavement. An email arrived. Your bench was removed by maintenance staff. That cold, clinical tone, visual uniformity regulations, anything they didn't like, gone. I added the notice to a growing folder. The water fine, the bench warning, Linda's street parking photo. Then I visited Mr. Jenkins, a Marine vet who'd served on the board before Linda. He showed me Article 27. With 20% of homeowners, you can call a vote of no confidence and replace the board. I started gathering signatures. Stephanie made flyers. Do you feel the HOA represents you? Stories came pouring in. Fines for mailbox colors, for tomato gardens, even for a teen's lemonade stand. Within days, we had nearly enough support. But the HOA pushed back. Code enforcement visits, junk email floods, even threats to disconnect my porch lights for noncompliance. People who once nodded at Linda now avoided her. But others leaned in, notes of support, offers to help, quiet donations. With 72 signatures, just short of the vote, Naomi, a widow, called. They fined me for my swan planter. I paid because I didn't want to fight. But now, I want to help. That night, I realized we weren't alone. Then, a letter, formal disciplinary hearing, threats of daily fines, suspension, legal action. Mariana, a paralegal neighbor, assured me, they're bluffing. Show up, bring everything, let them try. The day of the hearing, I opened the garage door to find 30 neighbors, Stephanie, Jenkins, Naomi, Mariana, even Rachel with her daughter. You started this, but it's not about you anymore, they said. We strategized, organized testimonies, prepped for battle. At the clubhouse, Linda sat like a judge. When I spoke, the room listened. Mariana presented the petition, 78 verified signatures, more than enough. Linda's face paled for the first time. The hearing ended not with a verdict, but a muttered, "We'll review this." The next day, another violation notice in my mailbox. No envelope, just cease and desist. It only fueled us. We kept collecting signatures, organizing meetings, posting flyers. Even teens joined in, riding bikes and spreading the word. Linda called an emergency board meeting to freeze the vote, but Tom, a board member, leaked the details. We made the recall vote public, scheduled it, and watched the support swell. The day of the vote, over 160 residents gathered, like a 4th of July picnic. But with purpose. At 5:03 p.m., Mariana announced, the motion to recall has passed, 190 to 13. Cheers, tears, but I watched Linda walk away, arms crossed, defeated but not done. The next morning, the HOA declared the vote invalid. Procedural nonsense, new puppet board. We fought back with legal complaints, public meetings, even press coverage. The county HOA office finally stepped in. They have 48 hours to vacate board positions. The street erupted. That maintenance guy drove by. Need anything reconnected? Yeah. I laughed. Let's turn the lights back on. The final vote, at the high school gym, 237 ballots, transparent and fair. Naomi was elected president, Dolores treasurer, Malcolm vice president, Mariana secretary. All prior disciplinary actions voided, the HOA reborn. Naomi, quiet but firm, told us, we lost trust. We lost kindness. But tonight, we found that again. I sat on the bleachers, just grateful. 6 months later, the neighborhood is alive. Kids sell lemonade. Gardens bloom. Benches are safe. Linda came by once, no armor left. She handed me a check for the water fine, said she was sorry. I invited her to the next meeting. Maybe, just maybe, people do change. Now, every afternoon, I watch the sun stretch across the lawn, water still cold in the cooler, no violation, just neighborly. So tell me, if you lived here, would you have fought back? Or just paid the fine? Share your thoughts below. Does order matter more than kindness? Or should community mean something more? Let's hear it.